Hello and welcome once more to another episode here in the Learn Sanskrit series. And today we are in lesson 8 and we're doing the third and last of the exercises for lesson 8. And on the screen here you can see my two PDFs that you can download. We have first of all this one here, which is the exercises themselves, so you can print those out and fill in those lines with your own text. And then I have also here the answers to the exercises, and so you can see everything including the first line here is the exercise itself, and then you can get everything on the same page here, so you can compare and contrast and understand what the grammar and the words are all about. Alright, so those are downloadable and the link is in the description, so you can just use that. And now to the exercises themselves here, which I'm doing now in Photoshop here, but of course what I want to say here first is that even if you don't want to use the PDFs, you can use just an ordinary sheet of paper. You can use two sheets of paper, preferably here, landscape. I prefer doing them in landscape, but you can do whatever you want. But if you're doing it in landscape, then sort of everything lines up under it nicely also. So okay, so we have two sheets here. The first sheet is with the lines 1 to 3, and the other one is 4 to 6. So I'm showing this on the screen now for 5 seconds each, so you can stop the video 2 times if you want and hand copy these exercises onto your own sheets. So 5 seconds for the first one now. And then the second one here is 4 to 5 to 6. 5 seconds. Alright, so let's start attacking these. There the father and the horse stand, they two MC. So as always here, when we're starting from English, we do our eswo line first, English with Sanskrit word order, and so we are adapting it to Sanskrit. We are prepping the English here so that we'll get one word per Sanskrit word. So it's sometimes about grouping. So we group the father here, for instance, and sometimes it's about rearranging the words, because we're using Sanskrit word order, so we have to understand how this is going to work in Sanskrit. So okay, so when I'm doing this now here on the eswo line, I have to understand the syntax here on the English line, or better said, I have to understand the eswo syntax line and prepare the English line for the syntax, or for the eswo line. So and that means that I have to understand the and here. What function is it? What function does it play? What role does it play? Well, it's connecting the father and the horse. So it is a word connector, and it connects, well, and the type of words it connects are nouns, father and horse, so typically nouns. And we may, even if we want to be even more accurate, we can call them substantives or noun substantives. So we're not confusing. Some grammarians are very particular about using the word noun as a overall category for both adjectives and nouns and proper nouns and like that. So we could call them substantives or noun substantives as opposed to noun adjectives, for instance, or proper nouns. So okay, so let's get back to the and here. So the one thing we know about the and is that it connects the two words father and horse. The other thing we know is that there is only one and in the English, and that is a syntax that in this exercise and in this Sanskrit Studio sort of system of understanding of translating sentence, this relates then to the idea that we only will have one and also in the Sanskrit. So if I have one and in the English, I will have one and in the Sanskrit. And that is so, and that and comes after. Whoops, that comes after all those words that we are connecting. So the two substantives or the two nouns here, they are connected by an and that and is a word connector, which is why this is called syntax A. It could have been syntax B also, because that's also a word connector syntax, but syntax B says that we have to have one and per noun that we are connecting. So then in this case we would have to have had two ands. So the father and the horse and in such a case we would have explicitly put the B up here in the on the English line, but there's no such B here in this exercise, so we will have to understand this as a syntax. Okay, so and then of course I did this mistake here, which I saw right now here, that I started off with my Sanskrit too early here. So we have to correct that. Sorry about that. All these things are always happening. Not always, but sometimes they are happening, and we are correcting them swiftly like this. So there, the father, the horse, and then comes the verb, but we can't use the word stand just like that. We have to clarify it, because this is the eswo line, so we have to demonstrate that we know what we're doing. And in this case, the sort of issue is that we are using and to connect the father and the horse, but when we do that, we can no longer use a singular verb. So we have to demonstrate that we know that if we use an and to group two words like this, the result must be dual. So it's they two stand. That is the verb that we're going to put in the Sanskrit. Okay, and then we have the next sentence here on line 1. This is not much we can do about. They two, and then we do our index below here, like a subscript. So we have different syntaxes here for the English line, so we can see it more clearly. And then similarly here, it's not just see, but they two see. Okay, so we have hyphens here. Alright. So now begins our transliteration. Translit here, and so tatra for the adverb, and we have the father, who is Janaka, and we have a horse, Ashwa, and this is nominative singular, so this is like the basic form, we can say. And then we have a chop, and they two stand, so we have tishtati, in third person singular, but now it's third person dual, so we must tishta, we have to do a ta visarga ending here, tishtataha, because it's second person, or it's third person dual. And end of first sentence there, and we should use semicolon on the transliteration line to demonstrate that we are that we know what we're doing. And then we have day to m, and that is tau, the pronoun tau, the masculine version of a third person dual, and then they are seeing, so we have to use pashati, but for dual, pashataha. So tau pashataha. So tatra janakaha ashvaha cha tishtataha tau pashyataha. And so we're just, whoops, my Wacom board here protested. Tatra Janaka. It's always a little tricky to use like a drawing tablet like I'm having here, and in combination with I'm actually writing a little bit bigger than I'm sort of if compared to what I would do on paper. So it's more like drawing here than actually writing. So it's a little tricky to get everything beautiful, but it also has to be time efficient. So sometimes there's this sort of negotiation that, okay, I can make it more beautiful on the screen, but that will take longer time, and so it's always some kind of balance between beauty and the patience of the viewers. So anyway, we're well on our way here to and then we do our Pashata here. Of course, if you wonder, or if you sort of are unsure about what letter I'm forming, you can always look at the PDF, because those are really nicely done, I think. So there will be perfect clarity in terms of which Devanagari character I'm using, or even if there's some word in the English you're wondering about, or the transliteration, or so there everything should be in nice order. Alright, so then we have number 2 here. Here the boy and the elephant come, they too run. Okay, and then we do the same thing. We start with the adverb here, and we are grouping the boy. Becomes one word in the Sanskrit, and then a similar thing here with the and. We have to move it, and there's only one and this time as well, so we will end up with a syntax here once more. And in the similar case here, we have that the result of the and, we have one boy in third person, and we have one elephant in third person, so it becomes third person. It will be they, and the boy is one and the elephant is one, so they will be two, so it's they two come, like that. And then we have they two, another M here. Okay, they two M, they two run. So it's almost similar form here, but the adverb is of course different. Okay, so atra, and then we have, but of course it's also the vocabulary here that's balaha. And the difficulty here is that we didn't introduce this in this lesson, but we used that in lesson 7. So so that maybe if you missed lesson 7, so then you. But the good thing, if you have the sheets also, the PDFs, you can always go back and look at those if you want, or come back to the video. You are very welcome to revisit. Atra balaha gajjaha cha. So we have the cha here, the and conjunction, indeclinable conjunction, and they two come. So we have agachati, which we should know by now, but we have to have for dual, so we have to have the taha ending there. And then we have to do our regular semicolons, and we have to start with the second sentence, and they too. Oh no, of course. So they too once more. Then it's another tau coming up here. Tau, but now we're running. So tau dhavati, but with a dual ending, dhavatah, like that. So like that. Let's see here. Atra balaha gajyaha cha agachatah tau dhavatah. Okay, looks good. And we just render this up in Devanagari here to do our exercises more complete. Of course, for some of you this may not be entirely easy yet, but the idea is that by practice, if you practice it over and over again, it will be second nature to you within not so long time. Before you know it, you will sort of pick it up. But as with most things in Sanskrit, this is a like a field of how should I say? This is a long-term project. So don't panic. I think Goldman said this in his book. First rule of Sanskrit is sometimes I think it's in chapter 1 or 2. Don't panic. First rule in Sanskrit: don't panic. And I thought that was really good. I mean, that we have to have patience and perseverance, but still we have to, of course, like what we're doing. Personally, I love this, not only the grammar, but the whole forming the Devanagari letters and trying to understand the syntax and trying to read the sentences and like that. I think that's really interesting. It's really, and it's interesting not only from a sort of like a linguistic point, but it's also interesting like from a spiritual or from a how should I say, well, revelation point of how the sages, or and also another thing is like about storytelling, like people who are into writing and like how do they tell the story and where all these things. Anyway, this is a different topic, but I just got carried away a little bit there. All right, so atra bala. Oh, look at that. No visarga there. Okay, correcting. Balaha gajyaha cha agachatah. Agachatah. Okay, and then tau dhavatah. That seems to be correct. Number 3. Number. It's not a 3. It's number 3. So the crow and the horse drink, and they all FC. Okay, so we have a crow. Okay, let's group him. The crow, the horse, And another A syntax here. We are once more doing a connecting the two nouns there, or the two noun substantives. The crow, the horse, and they too drink. They too drink, and they all see. And here the question is, who are they all? And the answer is, we don't know. So it's a group of feminine grammatical entities, objects. Presumably it could be 5 women who are observing the crow and the horse, or it could be 5 female or 10 female crows that are observing the masculine crow over here. So because the crow normally we is a masculine, but the idea is that any object, it could be 5 or 7 feminine rabbits, or who knows. But the main point here is that these ones are not the same as these ones over here. So it's another group of objects or people or animals or that are observing the crow and the horse when they are drinking, as opposed to up here on line 2, or the exercise 2 here, where they to M presumably refer to the boy and the elephant, and who are coming. They are running when they are coming. Maybe, if that's how we should understand it. Okay, so that's all right, and we have so that's the eswo line then, and then we have our transliteration. So we have our kaka, nominative singular, the horse, ashwa, and we have our chop, and they are drinking, pibati, but pibataha, and they are and then we have the other group there, so they are feminine objects. Okay, so taha, and they are seeing, so pashati, but they are many. They are not just 2, so pashati, pashanti. We have to have pashanti in plural. They all, 3rd person plural. Taha pashanti. And we are checking this now, checking it out. Kakaha, ashwaha, cha, pibataha, taha pashanti. And that looks good, so we are kakaha. And we have a horse, and conjunct consonant there. And a ch. And we have some drinking going on. Pibataha. And then we have the feminine objects who are observing the crow and the horse. Like that. Kakaha ashvaha cha pibataha taha pashanti. Okay, let's move on to page 2 here. Number 4. The father abandons and goes, and the boy or the elephant eats. So the father, we're grouping him. And this time here we see that the and is not working on nouns, but it's working to connect the verbs here. But it's still, but there's still just one and it's still a word connector, because verbs are words as well. So whether it's a noun, a couple of nouns that are connected, or a couple of verbs that are connected, still the syntax will have the same. It will be syntax A in either case. So the father, he abandons, so we clarify the verb, abandons. And we do another clarification here. He goes, and we have an and with an index A there, syntax A. So the father, he abandons, he goes, and A. And then we have the boy, the elephant, or okay, and then, but in this case, in the second sentence here, we have nouns that are connecting. So or connects nouns, but the and connects verbs. But both of them are syntax A, nevertheless. Okay, and now comes the question here, when we clarify the verb here, who is, what implicit subject should we use? Well, we should use he. And this is not because it refers to the boy. It doesn't refer to the boy. It refers to the closest subject to the verb, which is the elephant. So the elephant is the one which specifies the conjunction of the verb. And this works exactly the same in English, that if we have an or, that will happen. So if I say, for instance, the boy or I, then I will use the word eat. But if I say I or the boy, then the word will be eats, because the boy is closest to eat. So the boy or I eat, or you can say I or the boy eats. So similarly, it works the same there, that the elephant, it's he refers then to the elephant. Why? Because it's about the word he in the implicit subject is referring to, it's a representation of the grammatical gender of the verb. So in this case, of course, the grammatical gender of both the elephant and the boy is the same. So but I'm clarifying this because in all cases this is not, it's not always the case that there will be two masculine nouns that are grouped together. So one if you have the girl here instead, then it would be more understandable perhaps, but the idea is still the same, that the closest noun to the verb will decide how the verb should be how you should put the suffix on it, if it's an eat or eats. Okay, good. So now we are returning to let's see, we have the transliteration here. Translate now. So the father Janaka, and this should be, yeah, this is for this lesson 8. It's a new word for lesson 8. Janaka, he abandons, and that's Jyajyati. That's an old vocabulary there from a previous lesson. And he goes, Gachati, Jyajyati, Gachati, Cha. And then the boy Balaha. I should do my semicolons there nicely. Balaha, Gajya, or it's not a cha but a wa. Okay. And then he eats, so it's Kadati. Like that. Janakaha Jyajyati Gachati Cha Balaha Gadyaha Va Kadati. And we do our Devanagari here. Janaka, we have a conjunct consonant there. Chiap, and then we have a jati. And then we have to have a gachati here. and a conjunction cha. And then we do our little boy here, Balaha, together with his favorite elephant, presumably, and a conjunction wa. It's interesting though, but that if you read some of the Sanskrit books in grammar or syntax books, some people call this a disjunction, because it's not actually putting things together, it sort of separates them. Disjunction. So Speyer does that explicitly in his but I think that the normal nowadays, at least in English, if you look in Oxford and Cambridge English grammar books, they always talk about conjunctions, regardless of it is I mean definitely for and, but also for or. So I think in the modern world there are only there is only conjunctions when we're talking about or and. Okay. So Balaha Gajaha Va Kadati, and then we had Janakaha Jadyati Gachati Cha. Okay. Number 5. You and the boy speak, she or I remember. And here we have the be syntax. So that means that we have to provide one and after each word that we are connecting. You and whoops, a little too messed up there. The boy and so we are two then, so it becomes you two. And why does it become you two? Because when we are using and, this is third person here, and this is second person. So if we didn't know any rule at all, it would be difficult to specify the implicit subject in the verb. But the rule is, one of the rules is that second person always trumps or wins over third person. A sort of second person overrides or overtakes the third person. So you is more important, or how should we say so? Okay, so therefore the combination of you and the boy is you two. It's not they two, but it's you two. And this has nothing to do with the position of the. It's not the same rule as in if we were using the conjunction or, because conjunction and has its own rules. So regardless of whether you stands first or last, you always trumps second person, he or she or the boy. Right, so you two speak. Okay, good. And here we have an or, so we are doing the same thing here with the be syntax that we use to, she, or, I, or. And of course we have to, I always do this, like so we are implicit that we have understand what's going on here, and then but then now we come to or. How should we clarify the verb? What is the implicit subject here? Well, as we said up here in number 4, the elephant eats. And the rule was that if we use or, then the closest subject to the verb wins. So she or I eat. So she or I eat. Or we should use the right verb, but I remember for this sentence. I remember. She or I remember. And so then we just transliterate a little bit here. Translate. So tvam cha bala cha, and you to speak. So we're talking about vadati, but for dual, vadataha. And then she, sa, wa, aham, wa, and then I remember, which is, well, smarati, but for first person singular, smarami, like that. So tvam cha balaha cha vadataha. Oh no, okay, I forgot an H here. This is, whoops, this is second person, it's not third person. Whoops, what am I doing? I am trying to second person. Oh yeah, naturally. What the ta ha it must be. So we have an extra H there for second person dual. Wada taha, and then we have sa wa aham wa smarami. Okay, so that works well, and we should be consistent with my semicolons there, and now we just render it up in Devanagari. Tvam cha balaha cha vada taha. Like that, and then we have the woman, or the object of feminine grammatical gender. We have a wa, and we have an aham, another wa here. It's B syntax, so we have two was. And we of course could have many was if we wanted to list or group together more objects. But in this case we're just having the she and the I. Okay, so tvam cha balaha cha wada taha sa va aham va smarami. And that looks correct. And number 6 is there they all F and they all M stand. Here you two and I sit. So we do our eswo line here. There they all F, they all M, and still an A syntax there. And but in this case we have a plural, we have two plurals, so it cannot be anything else than plural here for the implicit subject in the verb. They all stand, right? And then we have another adverb here, and we have you two, which is ungendered, you two and I. So we have to put the and there at the end. And here then we have another rule. So whenever we have second subject and second person and first person, the rule is that when we are combining these, we will let the first person win wherever he stands. So whether he's close to the verb or not close to the verb, if there is one first person among those who are connected by and, then the result will be that we have a first person. But which first person? Well, we have to count here. So we have two of you and then we have one of me. So that's 3. So then we have to have we all. We for the first person and then all for the plural, and we are sitting. Oh, I'm not, well, we all sit like that. Okay, that's good. Okay, and then we just do our Sanskrit words here in transliteration. So they all F, Taha. We should know our pronouns now, hopefully. Well, Alright, so we have taha then, and then we have they all am, te, and then we have this cha, and they all stand, so it's tish, ta, and then we have the plural ending, tishtanti. Okay, and then we have the second sentence on line 6 here, you two, so atra adverb there. So atra, we have yuvam, let's see, atra yuvam, you two, yuvam, and then I have aham and another cha, and we all sit, so we have sidati, but for first person plural, so sidamaha should be correct. So we have tatra taha te cha tishanti atra yuvam aham cha sidamaha. And now we just do this for our Devanagari here. Tatra taha, oops, taha te cha ti anti. So we have to do this NTI ending there, and we have to have the atra, and the pronoun yuam, and the short there, and the long ah. And aham cha sidama, and the long e here, c, and also long ah, first person plural, and visarga, not the least. Alright, so tatra taham te cha tishtanti atra yuvam aham cha sidamaha. That looks good. And we're now through with the last exercise video for lesson 8, and I wish you very welcome then to lesson 9, which we will do the next time. So I hope you're having a good day wherever you are, and hope to see you later. Bye bye.